Robin and John, the court documents I picked up today and documents we obtained and told you about yesterday pieced together the picture of a man with a long history of aggression, harassment, and assault. Nobody is injured. All humans and pets, I should add, are safely accounted for. We know tonight that there are 7 people displaced after this fire. So she came over here to the maintenance garage on site where she found this. Fans I spoke with here today outside Thompson Bowling Arena had overall positive things to say about Coach Pearl's return. Buying a copy of this will get you this, a ticket to stand in line, but only while supplies last, and these are going fast. But the center has a waiting list hundreds of people long. As you can see, big, fat, fluffy flakes are falling as they have since around 8 this evening. The murders shocked what was and still is the quiet neighborhood of Village Green. Her own husband, a World War II veteran, was on tonight's flight. I spoke with him here at the McGee-Tyson Airport, and John, you caught up with him in Washington. Vol fans will recall Spurrier, who is now 70 years old, never shied away from taking a jab at UT. We are making for you and for everyone in the studio here Minnesotan tater tot hot dish, and I'm saying it with my Minnesotan accent, of course. I love it. I spoke with one sheriff's office official here in Laurel County, and he said that he can't remember a snow like this in not only his career but his lifetime. So as you can see behind me, it looks like a truck stop, really. You have trucks and cars just going all the way down this on-ramp to I-75 North.
Well, I've been here since 6 o'clock last night.
It had been a long 16 hours for truck driver Carlos Cubera, whose rig got stuck Friday on the on-ramp to I-75 North in London, Kentucky.
Hey, I've been driving for 10 years. This is not the first time I've been stuck, so I'm used to it. Just got to wait it out. Getting there is not going to help you.
That was the same attitude as driver Andrew Jago.
You kind of have to be as positive as you can be in a situation like this.
He spoke to WBIR in a phone interview from the middle of a 20-some-mile traffic jam that started in Laurel County, Kentucky and spread northward, as some people were stuck more than 17 hours without access to restrooms, water, food, or fuel.
I've been running my engine on a cycle of 10 minutes, for 10 minutes long, every 40 minutes. So it seems to be long enough to keep the engine warm and the cab warm without burning too much fuel.
We've been here since 4:30 yesterday afternoon.
Andy and Janet DeGroot got caught in this mess on their way back home to Canada.
We live in the snow, so this is not that bad. We don't understand how come they can't just keep moving.
A frustrating gridlock with seemingly no end in sight. Finally, around 10:15 Saturday morning, traffic started flowing again, nearly 20 hours after the jam first started early Friday afternoon. Robin, this was a decision Dr. McIntyre said he really finalized just this past weekend. There were a lot of mixed reactions today, some saying this is a sad day for the district, others saying this heralds a positive change.
We stand today at sort of a strange place, where educationally, we are more successful than ever before. And yet politically, there seems to be more negativity and noise than ever before.
Knox County School Superintendent Jim McIntyre says it was not any one event that prompted his decision to step down, but rather a contentious climate that distracts from effective leadership.
Well, I wasn't really surprised.
Lauren Hobson, a vocal critic of McIntyre's leadership and president of the KCEA Teachers Union, welcomes the news.
I'll be pleased when I know who our new superintendent is, because I hope that's a person that will truly put developmental appropriate learning first before test scores and make sure that teachers are treated as professionals.
Knox County Mayor Tim Burchett, who has clashed in the past with McIntyre, focused on the superintendent's positive impact.
We've accomplished things that nobody said we could do. And while everybody is focusing on the negative, we were able to put our heads together and do a lot of great things. So yeah, and I'm going to miss him.
Board of Education Chair Doug Harris says he's saddened by the news.
We don't want him to leave, but we see what's going on, so it's probably, the timing is probably right.
McIntyre kept citing the new Board of Education, which will be seated on September 1st. Of course, currently the board members, a majority of them, are in favor of McIntyre's leadership, but that might not be the case with these new incoming board members. Hope and excitement filled the air Tuesday afternoon as plaintiffs and their attorneys descended the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court building after the hearing.
We got into this lawsuit because we wanted to stand up for our family and family like ours who are currently denied the protections of marriage.
Knoxville couple Sophie Jesty and Val Tanko were two of the lead plaintiffs in this case. In the courtroom, where we couldn't bring cameras, attorneys representing the states argued legalizing and recognizing same-sex marriage would undermine marriage's purpose of binding kids to their biological parents. But Tanko and Jesty say Tennessee's denial of their marriage hurts their one-year-old daughter, who was in the hospital for 3 days last week with a sickness. Under Tennessee law, Jesty would not have any say in her daughter's medical decisions.
When we had Amelia, these issues of our marriage not being recognized in Tennessee became way more important to us than before we had our child. And I really heard that in the courtroom today. Like, ultimately, it's stories of families.
States attorneys say this is a matter for the states to decide, and that recognizing and granting same-sex marriage would mean redefining an institution that has existed in its current form for millennia. Attorneys arguing for the plaintiffs say denying same-sex couples the right to marry makes them second-class citizens and discriminates against them based solely on their sexual orientation. Many of those opposed to same-sex marriage cited religious reasons, saying homosexuality is a sin.
I feel there's too much compromise, there's too much complacency, that when God says a sin is a sin, here we are applauding it, and we're saying it's okay, you have your rights. God says there is no rights for that. There is a condemnation that's coming for people who do this lifestyle.
Now it's up to the justices and their deliberation process. Their decision is expected in late June. In Washington, D.C., I'm Becca Habegger, WBIR-10 News. It's a rite of spring at Springbrook Park as dozens of Alcoa High School prom goers gather in finest formal wear before a night to remember, one Hannah Tate feared she would miss.
I was diagnosed with Wilms tumor. It's a child cancer usually found in kids under the age of 5, and I'm 18, so it was rare.
This student athlete's busy senior year turned into long stays at St. Jude Hospital in Memphis.
She gets bored sometimes, and so she turns to the Instagram and the Facebook and Twitter.
Hannah has documented her journey on Instagram, where she came to follow celebrity stylist Tokyo Styles. And Hannah's story touched Tokyo.
I just really want her to stay strong and keep her head up and let her know that we're with her and fighting with her, and we're going to beat this battle with her.
So when Hannah asked Tokyo to send her a wig for the senior prom, Tokyo took it a step further.
Hi. Hi.
On Saturday afternoon, Tokyo and makeup artist Lo Calavera transformed this teen into a prom princess. So back at Springbrook Park,
she's so pretty. She looks gorgeous.
Her friends did a double take.
I didn't even recognize that was her. She looks amazing.
As this annual American teenage ritual puts Hannah on the path to young adulthood, she's also walking the promenade to recovery. In Alcoa, Becca Habegger, WBIR-10 News. Something is brewing in this one-stoplight town that's causing a crowd to gather around. It's the annual Polar Bear Dip Jamboree that draws them to Cumberland Gap, Tennessee. Freezing and wet, plungers flop like a flounder in costumes as colorful as this event's founder.
That's our time to have a good time in the Polar Bear Dip.
Judge Ralph McClanahan started this show just for fun 15 years ago.
We don't advertise. I mean, we've got one little form of advertising on a message board over there in Middlesboro, but it's pretty much unadvertised. It's just kind of growing on its own.
It's this brother and sister's very first dip. You can tell by the shiver and quivering lip, while these spectators think it's just grand to watch, bundled up, warm and dry on land.
We just love watching people jump in. It's
just
water.
great.
We just love it. They're crazy.
Silly and fun it appears on the surface, but beneath lies a deeper, more welcoming purpose. The town's first couple, mayor and wife, says the Polar Bear Dip to this place brings life.
When they built a tunnel, it bypassed our town. We used to get a lot of traffic down through, but
it bypassed it, and things like this bring people back.
What brings people back to this year after year? Maybe it's something in the water here.
I kind of consider this to be basically my baptism for every year.
To call this a baptism is not far from true. Wash off the old year, emerge cold and new. So come out next year, dive in if you choose. Becca Habegger, WBIR 10 News.